Hi guys. Welcome you all to this podcast series. So I'm Dr. Nikunj Tank. I'm a cornea, cataract, and refractive surgeon practicing in Indore. I'm also one of the executive members of our YOSI Governing Council, and I'm heading this financial literacy committee. So, as a part of increasing financial literacy amongst our young ophthalmologists who are part of our Young Ophthalmologists Society of India, we have taken this initiative where we are going to share insights about financial literacy and financial planning and everything related to finance. So, all of us are very good surgeons. We do our surgeries and our clinical job very well. But when it comes to finance, I think none of us are taught well because we all focus our energy on learning about ophthalmology and eye surgeries and etc. So, if I talk about myself, I have a lot to learn from our guest and so many future guests we are going to have. So we are really lucky to have Nidhi Joshi madam today with us. So she is the head of PGIM India Mutual Fund in the state of Karnataka and Kerala. She has been working with PGIM for more than 5.5 years. She has overall experience in her field about in the mutual funds of more than 17 years. She is also a mother to a wonderful 6-year-old daughter, and she loves music and travel also. So I will invite her, and she will tell us more about herself for a brief. And in this podcast, we are going to discuss a lot about mutual funds. So this is the podcast about mutual fund for young ophthalmologists. So let's start with that, and welcome, Nidhi madam. So we are really honored and privileged to have you here. So I would want you to introduce yourself for a brief time, and then we'll start with our podcast. Welcome.
Hi, Nikunj. First of all, I want to thank everyone for having me here and bringing me to this platform of financial literacy to all the doctors because so far we have been learning so many things from doctor. So I think it's a very good combination because I call a lot of my mutual fund distributors or the people who help financial literacy, I call them financial doctor. So it's like today a combination which we are doing. And let me give you a small introduction about me. You've almost covered about me. This I am a mother of 6 year old, and being a mother, other than my professional side, I have been working into all the asset class includes stock broking. I worked with insurance for a while and last almost 10 years with mutual fund. So overall 17 years of experience into financial sector. Other than the bank, I have worked in all the almost asset class which is required for someone to have a financial literacy. So that's all about me right now, and I'll be very happy to go ahead with your questions. Let's shoot out and understand it better, the subject.
Fantastic, fantastic. So it's an honor to have this conversation with you. So I'm just telling you a little bit about our audience. So we have a Young Ophthalmologist Society of India where all the members are under the age of 40, and
Mhm.
the members are generally postgraduate resident doctors who are still under training, or somebody who has finished their training and doing a super specialty training like fellowship, and some of them are young post fellowship trained doctors who are early in their practice, and people who are in the late 30s would be a little bit senior in this society. So all of us need to know about investment because none of us are taught that, and we start earning little bit when we reach our residency level where we get a stipend which is somewhere around 25,000 to 50,000 in this range. Some states, every state says a different thing. So when I was also doing my residency, I never invested anything. I saved. There is a difference between saving and investing, right? So I saved some money, but I never invested anything because I was not aware. I was totally focused on my training and my learning and all those things. So
Mhm.
the purpose of this podcast and this our committee also is to increase that financial literacy that you need to learn to invest early in your life, even if you are an ophthalmologist or any other field you are working in. So we are talking about mutual funds in this podcast. So I want you to share some light about what is a mutual fund and how it is different from a stock trading. So you please tell us more about that.
Okay, so I will take in a very layman language because this is a very beautiful understanding about mutual fund. I'll take it this way. When we say mutual, mutual means something which is very common, right? And fund, definitely a fund related to the money. So any common fund, it's a common pool which has been managed with a common of people, managed by a very professional fund manager. So it's like a cycle. So the money comes to the mutual fund as a investment tool, goes to a fund manager. The fund manager who has been certified and studied, who know about the subject better, he invests on behalf of the investor, and then it goes to the security market, right? The secondary market, similar the stock, he going to purchase the stocks for you in a diversified manner, and then the investment come back to the investors. This is just a cycle this goes through. The second thing that you asked me about how it is different from a stock market. So I will say both of things deals in stocks. Okay, both of the things, even it's a mutual fund or a stock market, when you hold any stock into your portfolio, both of them give you ownership to have a stock, right? The only difference is the stocks give you ownership completely when you own it and you share the profit independently. But when you take it through the mutual fund, it is some kind of units, some kind of ratios which you have it through mutual funds. Okay, and the mutual fund will give you a diversified portfolio. Okay, where it is not concentrated to one or two stocks, but a stock will give you a similar one individual, ownership. That's a simple difference. Both have market risk, but only thing is stock, again, in stocks you manage by yourself, but in mutual funds you have a fund manager who's certified, who's very professional, who manages on your behalf and who takes all your decisions. That's the differences.
Right, fantastic.
Mm.
So in India, most of us, our parents, they know only one thing, which is a risk-free investment, and the usually it is the FDs or some other things in a debt kind of a thing, investing areas. So just to highlight about the risk factor about the mutual fund. So is investing in mutual fund risky? And what are the things you should look for before you start investing in a mutual fund?
A very good question. So definitely we all take our first understanding from our parent, because they are our first advisor who give us advice, right? And we have been seeing that people investing either into real estate, or either they just go and say कि पैसा है तो fixed deposit, just do a fixed deposit, because at least they give you guaranteed return. Definitely,
Yes.
mutual fund never gives you guaranteed returns. It's all depend on the market risk. I hope you all have heard about it's depending on the market risk. Mutual fund is under the market risk, right? We all it's acha hai, right? So mutual fund definitely is not, I will say, very risky. It is not a completely risky product. It also gives you flavor of FDs. Okay, it also gives you sometimes a flavor of real estate, depending on the sectors where you invest. Okay, but definitely it's not going to give you a fixed return, because that's comes with FD. So there are different asset class. I'm not saying that real estate is bad to invest or FD is bad to invest. It all depend on your requirement, your goals, and then that way on your risk profiler, you can have a different asset class in your portfolio, which includes, and mutual funds give you flavor of that asset allocation. So it is not risky, I will say. Rather than risky, I will say it is better diversified to have in your portfolio, which also diversified and minimize your risk appetite. So that's a mutual fund. It is not risky. It's give you a flavor of diversification.
Right, right. So there are so many types of mutual fund as well, right? So I mean, it depends on how you categorize them. But just for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, I want you to tell us the difference about what is an equity mutual fund, what is a debt mutual fund, and what is an hybrid mutual fund. So just throw some light on
Yeah.
that.
So continuation to our previous question about if is mutual fund is risky, and I was telling you that you have different flavors into mutual fund. Definitely, similar way, there are different types of mutual funds which you can today invest into, and depending on your risk profile. So this that way, first I will say the category. So category comes into equity, and then there's a debt, and there's a hybrid. There are thematic funds. There are too many flavors around. When we say debt, so when I was saying about FDs, so compared to the returns, we look into debt funds. So debt is, if I say in a very simple language, debt is like you are lending someone money, okay, and then that has some kind of return, ROI, okay, which will come depending on your lending to that person about maturity. It's a average maturity which you give to someone. You lend something, and that come in the form of return. So it also have a market risk depending on the interest rate scenario. of the RBI. So debt is something where you have a tenure of a 1 day paper to a 3 month paper to a 6 month paper to a 1 year to a 5 year, like a government securities. That's called debt funds. Okay. When it comes to equity, again, equity is a vast subject to discuss for sure, but everyone has a different category. Again, in equity, we call it in a simple language. We have a large cap, we have a mid cap, we have a large and mid cap, we have a small cap, then we have a thematic fund. And when we talk, we go deep dive into this subject of equity. Again, depending on your risk profiler, you will decide whether I want to be in a stable fund like a large cap or a blue chip companies. I want to go to a multi cap strategy. I want to go to a flexi cap strategy. So it's a big subject to discuss about equity for sure. And then it comes to hybrid. Now, what is hybrid? The combination of equity and debt is called hybrid in a simple manner. Okay, it's like today we all know the hybrid mode of working, right? Why it is hybrid? Because it's a combination of two things. So hybrid is that. Then we also have a multi-asset models. We all where it has asset allocations, different assets will be coming to one fund. Then we have a thematic. So recently, last time when we spoke about, we were launched our healthcare. So there's a healthcare fund, pharma fund, there's a consumption funds. Depending on the scenario, they will launch a theme funds. So there are different types of mutual funds. It's all depend on your goals. It all depends on your risk profiler, and you can decide and choose accordingly.
Fantastic. So that is quite a brief about, it's a large explanation for all these funds if you go into detail. But just to make it a little bit easy for our young ophthalmologists here, so large cap means it invests in top 50 companies, right? That is what it is.
Top 100. So as per
Top
the
100
SEBI
companies.
categorization, yeah, as per the SEBI categorization, it's come under like top 100. Then we have a mid cap, which is up to 100, 1 to 250 companies, and then 251 to the rest is our small cap category.
Small caps.
It's
And
also market
small,
capitalization. Yeah.
right, right. And if we talk about the risk profile of each and every kind of category, so the large cap is a bit safer mutual funds among the all category because these are top companies compared to small caps. I mean, is it so? That is what we understand generally. So is it true?
Um, Partially right, because it's like large caps. If I say in a very in a simple language for an investor, I will say large cap are the company who has been time tested. Okay,
Correct.
at least which has proven many times, and you have back end results available in front of you. So example, today when we go to any our senior citizens and our parents and we ask which bank account you want to open, they will say SBI, right? Because they know that's a trust they carry. So I will say large cap is one of the category which has been time tested. But if you will ask me, is it very safe? See, safety is again a definition which has a different answers depending on client to client. But large cap is more safer than small cap. In my profession, I can't say this in a better way. But yes, small cap is something which is like upcoming. It is like new launches happening, and the new earnings get come to you, and uh, it's like comparatively to a in your language, if I say, so it's like you have three type of people in your association right now: people who have been into internship, the people who have been experienced, and the people who have been practicing from a long time. It's again a
Right,
same definition to a large cap, mid cap, and a small cap. It's a company which is growing. When I say market capitalization, so it's like about the company's
right,
asset net worth is growing, the incomes, the capex expansions has been happening, the business is growing. That's come under the small cap and mid cap.
right, right, right. Fantastic.
Definitely, it carries its own risk, no doubt. It carries its own risk. It's the investment tenure has to be decided when you enter to the schemes. Okay, so if
Correct.
you are looking for a short-term basis, then you have to decide which schemes to enter. When deciding something, when you define your goal, it is more than 3 or 5 year, 10 year, then I will always suggest everyone, every participant here to have an assistant with you who, if you don't know, so then you should have an advisor available who can decide your risk appetite, who can guide you
Absolutely.
better, okay, and who can help and handhold you that which category suits you better, and who can
Correct.
also deep dive into subject and tell you if you are entering into small cap, which are the companies we are holding into small cap, what are the return of earnings we are looking, it's called ROE, what are the earnings we are looking forward for this company, so why I'm entering into this. So this definition and this knowledge is very important to know.
Right, right, right. So, apart from discussing about what are the types of mutual funds as we discuss, another important thing for all young ophthalmologists to know that how can you invest? So, what are the ways to invest, and what is an SIP? Everybody has heard about SIP since the recently the social media has made it very viral about SIP. Everybody do SIP and all those things. So there are basically two ways to invest, right? So it is an SIP versus lump sum investment. So can you tell us more about what is an SIP versus a lump sum investment in mutual funds?
If I heard, have you asked me how to start and when to start?
Yes,
The right
yes,
question.
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes,
what's the minimum amount to required? And
yes, yes. All those things I would want you to tell us about.
this is the lovely part to explain. And I keep telling people, first of all, one clearance I want to give it here. SIP and lump sums are not a different product. Okay, it is the same product investing into mutual fund. The main product here is mutual fund. Now it is the ways to invest into mutual fund, how to
Correct.
invest into mutual fund. That's the right way to understand. And when you want to invest into mutual fund, you need to know whether you want to do an SIP, which is called systematic investment plan, and there's something called lump sum. Now SIP is like it's like monthly you decide something and you say, okay, fine, I'm going to invest 500 rupees. Even you can go as low as like a 500 rupees to start with, and you can go to up to your income decision, that this is my liquidity available every month and I want to invest it. And that's just systematically, because you put some process here and then you decide the amount and then you decide a date, and at every month this debit from your account. It's like a reverse EMIs. Give me a second. Go to mine. I'm sorry.
No issues. We can edit this part. So yeah, you can continue.
Okay. So yeah, sorry. So I'm repeating that. Okay. So again, SIP versus lump sum we were talking. So SIP is like systematically you decided something that, okay, I'm committed to this amount of investment and I'm going to start this, and this amount going to debit from your account every month. And one more important thing, this amount is editable. You can change it depending on your scenarios. You can add, you can decrease, you can stop for some time. So people think, I have been across listening to people, I am not starting my SIP because I feel that I have some commitments and I can't continue the SIP. See, SIP give you flexibility where you can hold on your SIP for 1 month to 3 month, okay, and then you can restart that, okay. Then it comes to lump sum. So many people who don't want to do a commitment SIPs, they can go to the same amount as a lump sum. So every month, then you have some amount saved in your account. You can put that money at one time, and that also you can do, but the product remains same, which is called mutual fund. That's one point. Now minimum amount to invest, that's a very I will give this answer with a quote of Warren Buffett, okay, which is called, do not save what is left, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. So there are many people who save, when you talk to people, they will say, अच्छा ठीक है, मेरा हर महीना इतना बचता है, तो I want to invest this much. No, spend first, no, invest first, and then save that money, and then save it. People, what they do, they spend first, then whatever they left over, they save it. Don't do that. Okay, decide your savings, decide your goals. And today, there's a so PGIM has done a retirement survey, okay, where we were asking about the retirement questions to people, and we have seen that retirement as a goal used to come in the seventh position for people. Okay, so there are people who want to buy first house, car, education, kids education, everything is there. But one thing is very important to understand, that for retirement there is no loan. Okay, so as when to start, you ask me, I want to answer that first. Start the moment you earn. And I'm telling you, today even a kid earns a pocket money, right? So start as early as possible. So there is nothing called a time limit to start. and there's nothing amount which need to be decided. Just start investing and decide your goals. So your goals is one of the most important player in your all investment journey. That once you know your goal, you know your investment amount, you know when to start.
Absolutely right. So let me just share my story about what I feel, what I regret, so that other young colleagues of mine won't do the same mistake. So I was doing my residency in 2013. So it is like 11 years back. So at that time I was earning a stipend of about 22,000. If I'm correct, I don't remember the exact amount, but around 22,000. If I would have invested at least 2,000 rupees per month that time as an SIP, and that would have been in a huge amount right now, and it would have added some more value to my portfolio, which currently I'm investing or whatever. But I was not aware. Well, I was simply not aware about all these things. I was not aware about mutual funds or even stocks. I did not have a demat account, all those things. So uh, uh, to our young viewers, you need to start early, and in your 20s, in your early 20s, when you are doing in your late 20s or early 20s, when you are doing a residency and you are earning a little bit of stipend, wherever you are working, important thing is to develop a habit of investing, because once you develop that habit and you continue in your 30s and late 30s, when you will be earning a bit more, it helps you in a different way, and that habit development is the most important part. So first, develop a habit of investing and learn about, just open a demat account. Now it is very easy to open a demat account. It is done online, even the KYC is done online. And whichever platform you want to use, there are multiple platforms.
Yeah.
No financial interest from both of us, but Zerodha, Grow, IND Money, so
Multiple.
many platforms. They are just like easily available to everybody. So that is one message, which I would like to share with our
Yeah, and I
young
would
viewers.
like to add you, Nikunj, here that today kind of awareness which was not there 10 years back and 15 years back when the industry was just started in the MF side. Today there are a lot of awareness. There are a lot of tools available. I will also request people to filter the information when they invest. That's very important. Okay, you use whatever tools, but filter the information. One biggest mistake what people do, they invest by looking past performances. Okay, I request everyone here who's listening this, please don't do that. Don't do that. You have ample of information available today on lot many websites. So many stock trading platforms are there. Please have little study about this subject, about investing, which stocks, which so every mutual fund. Okay, let me tell you one more thing about mutual fund. When you ask me about stock market and mutual fund, I missed this point to tell you two things. One, mutual fund is the most transparent tool. Okay, when you invest into mutual fund, every month you get a fact sheet. Okay, and that fact sheet tell you where the scheme has invested. Okay, what is the expense ratios. Okay, so what how much you're paying it, okay, to have that MF, that's called the expense ratios. And where are you invested, where are the companies you have invested. Okay, every month they give you fact sheets, so you can go and do your own study about your MF, that okay, these are the companies where I'm invested, how these companies are doing, what's happening around, right? So many news when you hear, right, so many news come around about some of the companies stock market, right? So just filter that news. So please save yourself by choosing the wrong mutual funds, just thinking okay, this has been the past performance, rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. No, please don't do that. Okay, that's one of the important things. Second, how to value your MF. There's something called net asset value, NAV. So like a stock price, you have a NAV of every MF, right? So one small exercise everyone can do who is hearing this podcast today, go back to any particular scheme, okay, which is 10-year old or a 15-year old, okay, take the NAV of that time and take the NAV of this time. Just put your money that time, if you would have invested 1,000 rupee every month SIP, okay, cumulative basis. What was the power of compounding today, the value of your money? Okay, that's very important. And I'm telling you, there is no substitute of MF. The way the MF has been turned, the way MF has been managed, the way the transparency is there, the kind of return has been generated, the kind of risk diversification MF gives you, there's no substitute.
And mutual fund is a very good tool to invest across all asset classes, matlab, right? I mean, you can invest even in different asset classes using mutual funds. So, can you share some light that can you invest some, like people in India are very fascinated about gold, right? I mean, they want gold jewelry and all those things. So, can anybody invest in a gold through mutual funds?
Okay, so I tell you what are the things which, first of all, let me tell you in the stock market or in MF, because the MF mutual fund is nothing, it is investing into stock market. Okay, now stock market has different kind of sectors where the money, for example, a BFSI or an IT or a consumption, consumer discretionary, healthcare, which is pharma, right? Real estate, materials, so many. So when India growth story, we believe, so many infrastructure changes happening, so you are investing into the India's growth story by taking any stock ownership, right? That's one part. Now you ask me gold. Now there are multiple asset allocations where the gold also come as one of the asset class to invest, right? Now through MF you can only invest through some multi asset model, any mutual fund who's running a multi-asset model, because gold is an asset class. So it comes under the asset class of equity as equal to inequity. So any mutual fund scheme or running into a multi-asset model will give you exposure to the gold, or you can only take it through ETFs, which is a passive mode to take it, exchange traded funds. So today you can buy gold buy immediately, you can sell immediately. So it's very easy to opt it.
Right, fantastic. So another question which I wanted to ask, that many people wait for the markets to correct before investing. So is that a true way to invest in mutual funds? Should you wait for the markets to correct, or you can invest anytime, or does it make any difference in a long term where you when you invest when the markets are high or and stuff like that?
um okay, so I'll start with this one Hindi का tag, जो सस्ता है हम खरीदते हैं, right?
Correct.
Correct na? So I think the worst mistake any investor does, or in like you, me, or anyone, any human being who does while investing journey, is thinking कि market गिर रहा है तो then we'll wait. So I'll request, don't time the market. No one can time the market. No one. Okay, there is no master science to understand that trajectory of market fall and up and down. Instead of that, as I said, and I'm again reiterating the one main point, which is goal. So if you know, okay, I'm investing for 3 year, 5 years, 10 year, it hardly matters if a market corrected by 5% or 2% or more than that. Okay, you know, जब भी सस्ता मिले, please add on, buy more units, add on, put more money. It's good, no? We want to buy something which is cheaper, so why not? And there has been multiple data. If I would have shared sometime later to our call, multiple times we have seen that census has gone to this level and Nifty has gone to this level, and then after the turnaround has been the great. I think the recent one was a COVID 2020, when people have just holded their sips and they said no, let market fall, I think it will fall further, 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 but reversed, it happened. And people who invested in 2020 have making money a lot this time, right? So it's nothing like timing a market, it's nothing like a right time to invest. It is just about keep investing, keep investing, keep investing until you think, okay, fine, I've made money. And I'm telling you one more thing which people don't know. The way you enter to mutual fund, which is called SIPs or a lump sum, the way to exit also from mutual funds. Okay, it's called SWP, systematically withdrawal plan. So when you have a lump sum money into your account, okay, a corpus which has been accumulated, and you're now enjoying that, like example of 1 crore rupees. I will not withdraw the whole 1 crore rupees. Okay, what I will do, I know my monthly expenses. Okay, I will only withdraw 1 lakh or 2 lakh, and still the 98 lakhs will be invested, and every month or every 6 months and every 1 year it will be market compounding will add on. So I will always take out my benefits, I will never take out my principals. And that way also you can enjoy mutual funds. It is such flexibility gives to investors.
Fantastic, fantastic. On that note, actually, I think I have forgotten to put that question, but you will be able to answer that. So, can you share some light about the eighth wonder of the world, the compounding interest, so that people understand why it is important to stay invested for a long time? right? So if somebody, I mean, like if we take, I mean, there are so many SIP calculators, and if anybody can just click on that and put a target of 1 CR, when will you be able to accumulate 1 CR? If you are investing, a particular amount, it may take maybe 10 years if you are investing 50,000 or 60,000, whatever you can, according to your financial situation. But once that 1 CR is achieved, how it, it makes it, the second CR will be earlier. So that is where the compounding interest comes into play. So
Yeah,
can you
that way it works.
throw some light? Yeah,
So power of compounding is the best thing which MF gives you. The SIP is the best product for that, for sure. If I tell you in a very simple language, for example, when you give 100 rupee to me, the interest come into 100 rupee, right?
correct,
When the next month your 100 rupees already invested and you are giving me more 100 rupee, right? It becomes 200 rupee. But by the time you bring out the other 100 rupee, the previous 100 rupee has become 102 rupees, right?
correct,
So now 102 plus 100 is 202, right? And similar way, vice versa, it keep adding up to your previous investment, and your new investment keep adding up, and this way the power of compounding work. And so we all say, right, let money works for you. This is the only tool where money can work for you. Okay.
correct,
And when you say the tools, the calculators, right? Yeah, so we do. So, for example, someone says, I am today right at age of 40 or 50, and I want to get retired at the age of 65. So I have 15 years and I want to accumulate 1 crore. Okay, so we put a calculator by understanding what should be the minimum SIP he should start now, and then what should be the amount and value to reach that money. It is not about ki 1 crore karna hai, so now 10 lakhs karo aap har month. We will not do that. We will add this power of compounding there and understand that what SIP compounding will help him, the number of values. And the moment you reach to some amount, na, as you rightly said, reaching to 1 crore may looks little difficult, but because the power of compounding is working for you, reaching to next 2 crore is much more easier because
correct.
market will keep adding up, right? So
Absolutely.
this will help you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, so all of us pay taxes, right? We all, once you start earning, you also have to pay taxes. You have to file returns. So, can you share some light about, is there any tax benefit when you invest in a mutual fund? Are there any ways to save taxes in a different types of mutual fund or something like that, please?
On a lighter note, even I am searching something to save tax. Mutual fund only give you one benefit. It's called ATC,
Okay.
and which ATCs we get from so many ways, right? But only one product which gives you this advantage is ELSS. Okay,
ELSS.
yeah, that's the only scheme which gives you a tax advantage of ATC cumulative, which is up to your limit. You can invest there. So that's the only thing. Still, MF also carries the tax liabilities, which is LTCG, long-term capital gain, and we also have STCG, which is short-term capital gain.
Short-term capital gain. And yes, yes, yes. So,
So anything which is 1 year plus is long-term capital gain. Anything which is 1 year down is short-term capital gain.
definitely. What is ELSS? Just for the benefit of our listeners.
So, so it is equity linked savings scheme. It is again, investing into same mutual funds. It can be anything. It can be a multi cap. It can be a flexi cap. Depending on the scheme what you're investing, it's again investing into equity market. Similar mutual fund. The only difference will be this will be a 3 year lock-in product. Okay. Other are open-ended schemes, but ELSS will give you a 3 year. That's why it's coming with a tax advantage of ATC. So it will give you a 3 year lock-in. Now, one important difference you need to understand. When you invest in SIP of ELSS, every SIP will have a 3 year lock-in. Okay. But if it's lump sum from the date of investment to the third year of investment, it is locked in. After that, it's an open-ended scheme. But I generally like ELSS schemes. Reason behind is not because it gives me tax advantage. I like ELSS because it's give you discipline of not taking out your money. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this gives you patience to keep your money stay invested, and then you understand the power of compounding.
Right. So it does not let you liquidate even if you want to, because there is a lock-in. I mean, there is a,
No. So other schemes give you, emergency funds T+1 day, trading day to, example, today you want to do a redemption. Redemption means you want to sell off your MF and you take out your money. that gives you an advantage of T plus one. So within 2 to 3 days, you get money in your account. It's called liquidity. But ELSs will not give you money liquidity for 3 years. So you have to be assured when you're investing there.
All right. All right. All right. So we talked about what are the different types. We talked about what is mid cap, small cap, hybrid, and all this flexi cap. What is SIP and all those things, and what are the ways to invest and etc. So I want a brief summary about everybody. You also told about it depends on your goal, whether it is short term, whether it is medium term, or whether it is long term. The longest term goal is generally retirement for everybody. So,
Mm.
according to the goals a person has, like short term, medium term, and long term, let's just categorize these three. So,
Mm.
according to the goals, what kind of mutual fund they should look for? And can you just give a summary kind of a thing that if you for a short term goal you should look for this, not an advice, but just as a summary.
No, so definitely there's nothing called. Okay, I just missed out your topic. You said me to tell me a summary about what scheme to look according to your goal,
Yeah. So, what
right?
kind of mutual fund you should look for a short term goal? Same thing for the medium term goal and a long term goal, which is like 15 years away, something like that.
See, as per my journey of mutual fund and my experience into the stock market, inclusive the MF side also, people need very fast returns. Okay, that's a mistake to be avoided. Okay, I will urge everyone, don't look for shortcuts. Okay, there's nothing called a shortcut. Okay, definitely you have your scheme titles. For example, like when we're talking about debt funds, we have something called overnight funds, which is a 1 day fund. Then there's a liquid fund, which is 90 day, 1 month, 1 day to a 90 days fund. Then we have something called ultra short. Okay, ultra short term fund, the debt side, which is a 3 month to 6 month tenure. There's something called a money market, which is a 1 year plus. So it's all depending. That's a debt side, so it's very easy to tell you depending on the paper what they have it. In equity, generally we also have something called conservative funds in the hybrid category. It's a conservative fund which we look 1 year, which is FD plus money. Okay,
Right.
so the moment you go to shorter, na, the return should be also expected short. Okay. Let me tell you this way. So when we say FD, then FD give you today people say okay, FD is giving me 8%, 7%, something. It's again people forget to adjust the tax part there in the FD, right?
Absolutely.
But MF has an equity definition, 65% plus is an equity taxation, right? So there you have an advantage of equity taxation. And there, if it's a 1 year, you have conservative fund. It's 1 year, 3 year, then you have large caps. You have other schemes. I will never say, I will never, appreciate someone investing into a short, but depending on the goal, depending on your some kind of requirement of money, you can decide. You can sit with your advisor, you can decide, understand your planning, and then that way you can invest. So there are large caps, there are BAF, balance advantage funds in the market, which tell you, okay, fine, it's an FD plus plus money. So depending on your tenure, as I said, depending on your tenure, you should expect the return. As long you're invested, you can have a better fruits to added.
Right. Fantastic. So basically, just I wanted to understand that if somebody has a short-term goal, it is always better to look for a debt kind of an instrument, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, the debt funds or even an FD is fine. Well, if you have a goal which is less than 3 years or something like that. For a 3 to 5 year, you can still look at mutual fund, one of the categories, right? And any long-term goal which is beyond 7 years, whatever goal you have, and then you
3 year
can.
plus, 5 year plus, MF
Uh,
gives you the equity advantages, but
right.
depending on the return, because see what happened the moment people say, I am looking for a 1 year product, they will say,
Mm,
I need this return. The problem is
absolutely.
the discussion start with the returns. The discussion never start with ki, I want to invest this much and I don't expect anything. So if you have a return expectations, so I will request go to a debt product or go to a FDs if you have return expectations. If you have no return expectations, you just want to invest and you don't want zero risk, then equity or an MF will not play that critical role for you, because it's all depend on the market risk again. So depending on the past performances, you can have an idea, okay, fine, this is has been a CAGR return of any MF. But I will not say anyone, and I will not appreciate anyone to put 1 year down money into MF. म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, हम सब जानते हैं, राइट, बट कितना सही है और कैसे सही है हैज टू आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, just to follow up that thing, I want you as an expert to say that what is the minimum time one should be invested in a mutual fund so that I mean, the risk becomes lesser and lesser. What is the minimum time duration? That is also important for somebody who is starting a mutual fund journey. They should know before they start investing, right? In your
Difficult question
opinion,
for me.
in your
It is a
opinion,
difficult, yeah. So as I said, if it is very minimum and you have certain reason to invest for a time duration, decide your return expectation and then you decide the debt funds. If it's an equity, I will say one with the at least LTCC looking forward to 3 years should be a minimum expectations
minimum,
to be they invested, and then I'm sure the person who invested for 3 years will understand the product so far, so then he will not withdraw money. Okay. And he will
right?
withdraw depending on his requirement. So 3 years a minimum to look forward to understand any product, understand how the MF is working, how the return is getting done. Because every time market also have their cycles. Sometime the 1 and 2 year is better. Maybe that year when you have invested, the market has not been better. So you will have a better experiences. But if you stay invested longer, you will see some more market cycles going through, and then you'll be able to understand and you will be able to enjoy even the lower return and the higher return if you stay
Absolutely.
invested. That is why I'm appreciating and giving you this. I request people to stay invested, keep patience, because a short time is very short to understand whether the future returns will be how much. Very difficult to understand and predict, because no one can predict it, right? So a short tenure, if it's a bad experience, may give you a worse experience and you may out for a forever, right? Rather than if you still okay with your risk appetite and you understand the subject, okay, fine, this can happen and these are the market cycle which has happened, and you still invest for 3 and longer 5 years, and that's why it's called diversification. So in your portfolio you should have diversification of a 6 month to a 1 year to a 3 year and a 5 year duration of investments. So then you can decide, and you can judge better your portfolio. Okay, now how my portfolio has been behaving depending on the market cycles.
Right. Right.
So
So,
I will never appreciate a short term investment into MF.
that's what I wanted to hear. So anybody
I
who
will never
is
recommend.
looking for a short-term investment, they should not invest in mutual funds and look and expect the return of more than 10 years or more than 10% or 15% in just short 1 or 2 years of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll be ending soon. Before that, before we end, I want you to share if you have uh, any. You are in a mutual fund space. You are in the core finance world. You are heading Karnataka and Kerala for the PGIM mutual funds. What is your worst financial mistake if you have done any? I will share mine too.
Worst financial. Okay, so worst was okay. I don't know how to tell that, but worst was invested into a MF when I was at the age of 18, and that was
Wow.
an SIP of 500 rupee. And I never knew what is mutual fund. I never understand because I was working as a financial agent into an insurance company. So one of my just friend come and said, "Okay, listen, I have a target. Please give me your 500 rupee. I'll just do as SIP." And he took it, and he took it for 3 months because I don't remember it very well, but that was one of the top fund house today, and that scheme has crossed a good NAV amount. So and he took me a 6 month ka paisa together, okay, 1 year, 2 year, 6 months. That time I don't remember it because I was very young. So whether it was a 3 month money or 3 month check he took from me or something, but I never continued that SIP. Okay, I never continued. I never knew that I had an SIP after that. And then I got married and I know I came to Bangalore 2015 when I was doing some my camps things, and I was just uh, converging all my MF to one place. So I found that in my PAN there's one more SIP which I started at that year, and I never knew that 500 has become so big amount today. Okay, though it's small, but compared to a 1500 rupees, which is 503 month, today it's gone to, if I say the number, it was approximately 15,000 for me. Okay, so I don't know name the scheme and all, but it was a surprising thing for me, and I realized my mistake, and I tell you, when I started my actual SIP, 2015, when I entered MF world, so that was my first SIP which I started, and I was age of 27 odd. Okay, so I started that time. So that's a mistake, and that's a mistake anyone can do. That's not that's until you don't understand and don't deep dive into the subjects, you don't do it. But today there are so many things which is available. And one more mistake we do, we invest into wrong product before knowing what I need. Okay, there are people.
Correct.
Okay, I'm naming a product like people invest into, and with my experience, it's not my experience, but I have been meeting investors. I have been talking to few people around my environment where people say कि हाँ invest तो किया है ना, insurance में किया है. So insurance is I don't know why people take that as a investment product. It is. It has different product which gives you an investment,
Correct.
experiences. It has,
Right.
no doubt. It has. It also have ULIPs which gives you an MF
Yes. Yes.
types of
Units.
experiences with insurance coverages. But when I talk to an educated people today sitting into an IT and a director level, and they say कि हाँ investment किया है ना, मैंने insurance में किया है. It's an endowment policy. How that can be treated as an investment? Okay,
Of course
you
not.
can invest, but you cannot be focused to one investment. You have to have diversified. So आपके portfolio में you should have a product which also give you 4%, 5%, which also can give you 8%, which can also give you 12%, which can also give you more than 20%. So it's all diversification which you keep, and there's a cumulative return which you add on last में. So that's a mistake with my, I tell you कि मैंने stop किया. I didn't continue. I didn't understand the subject. I didn't never went ahead and understand the subject, and I started late. That's my mistake. Okay, and comparatively, I have seen people's mistake when they invest into wrong products without knowing the subject better and understandings that what can be the return expectation after then when it comes back to me. Okay, that's is my so many, and there's so many mistakes we keep seeing every day.
Right. 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 So for me also the same kind of mistake that I did not start early in my when I was before my in my late 20s where I started a little bit of earning as a stipend. That is one mistake because I was able to save some money but I did not invest it. As an emotional part, I saved I think around 50,000 rupees and I gave it to my parents as a gift that this is my first gift to them. Uh, of course, it has an emotional value, but that could have been invested and then it could have been even a bigger amount today, which I can give them again as a gift as well. So that is one mistake. And one thing I regret is that during the 2020 COVID crash, I did not invest. So that is also another mistake I feel that because that crash was a big opportunity for somebody who had money a little bit or whatever to invest.
So that was a
So
mistake of timing a market.
yeah,
कि
there
थोड़ा
was a
रुकते
mistake of
हैं फिर डालते हैं.
there was a mistake of timing the market. So I think we'll be summing up soon, but Dr. Niranjan Karthik, who is also part of our
Fine.
financial literacy team, he could not join earlier because he had other commitments with, he's a very busy guy with online webinars and very young and dynamic person.
Overlap, unfortunately, today.
I know,
So
I
he's
know.
with us.
So, yeah, yeah. So, if you have Niranjan any questions, we were just summing up because we are about to. We had a very good discussion and we missed you really. So, any questions or anything you want to add or ask anything, please.
Sir, were those questions in the list we had plotted?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All those questions we have covered. Whatever we I shared with you, it was already shared with Nidhi Madam as well.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
If
So,
you have any your personal financial questions from your side or anything apart from what we discussed already.
uh, from my side, nothing specific, sir, for the agenda. But one doubt I had from my side was how to emphasize the SIP concept, ma'am. I don't know whether that was covered in the mutual funds part, and whether going forward in this times of uncertainty in the market, does still SIP hold good, or is it time to rethink the concept of SIP? Because that's one of the hot topics among many financial experts at this point of time, in this, especially in this sideways market. So would you still back SIP as the best way out, or would you rather insist on some methods of lump sum, wait, hold, then probably again maybe a way of timing market, but I'm just asking your expert opinion on this.
Okay, so I'll again give you a small quote here. Uh, Something like when you were saying, Niranjan, about habits, right? So people do not decide their future. People decide their habit, and
Right,
their habit decide their future. So SIP is similar habit to decide your future. Okay, I will always say SIP plays a different impact. Okay, and lump sum plays a different impact. And ways of investing is also different. So I tell you, see, SIPs is giving you an advantage of averaging cost. Okay, as we can't time the market. Okay, but we have been disciplined invested. Okay, so what happened every month without fail, the money is going right. So there will be times when NAV will be up, NAV will be down, depends. So I am not timing it. So what I'm doing, I'm just keep investing in my disciplined manner, and every month a NAVs will be adjusted. It will be accumulated, and this will give an benefit of averaging in your portfolio. So SIP plays a different role. Okay, SIP gives you flexibility of amount. SIP gives you flexibility of investing, deciding your thoughts ki I want to invest after my salary immediately. Okay. Lump sum is again similar way. You're investing into mutual funds only. Same scheme where you're doing SIP. Imagine a corpus comes to you immediately or a bonus comes to you immediately. That's called lump sum amount, right? It's a bonus. So just put that money. And again, I will say one more concept people don't know. It's called STP, more than SIP and lump sum, something called STP. Okay, which is you can transfer the, for example, you have lump sum of 1 lakh rupee and you are not sure about markets ups and downs. Okay, I don't want to put my lump sum of 1 lakh rupees. So what I will do an STP from a debt scheme or any scheme you can decide. I'll put money into lump sum into there and I will switch every month. Okay, I decide that I'll put 10,000 rupees every month or every week to my the same folios. So folios get created, right? So you can switch that way. You can transfer. It's called systematic transfer plan. So I tell you different ways in mutual fund. We all know a famous concept of SIPs. People know a very famous concept of lump sum. There's something called switch and there's something called STPs also there. Switch means you can park your money sometime for some scheme. Example again, debt, and then you can switch it to the equity scheme depending market fall. Okay, you can decide your day. If today market fall, so I'm sure the NAV will be down. Tomorrow I want to switch this money from this scheme to my equity scheme. And STP is again a similar way of SIP, but SIP is like amount decided and it will be continuation process until you don't want to stop the SIP, and the amounts can be lower. But in the STP, you decide your lump sum amount to one parking scheme, and then you do a transfer plan depending until the amount don't get over. For example, a 10 lakh rupee, until the 10 lakh get over to that existing parking money, the transfer of 10,000 rupee weekly if you decided or a monthly you decided, it will go on until the 10 lakh get over. So I will never say to time the market, utilize the ways of investing rather than timing and saying, okay, fine, I'll depending the market, how the market behaving. And I will say the kind of, we have seen the popularity of SIP. Today people know, and there are so many people who can invest even a low amount of 500 rupees today, right? So SIP gives you a power of your decision. Okay, fine, okay, whatever happens, I'll give this money. I'll do this money, right? See today, okay, I will conclude this answer with something like a gullak. I don't know, piggy bank. We all used to have a piggy bank in our childhood days, right? What we used to do, whenever we used to get 1 rupee, so there's something called a lump sum money, which some guest comes to our house or something happens, an event happens, and we get some money. So that's our lump sum. So when we get 100 rupees, suddenly we'll put that money into that piggy bank, right? That's called lump sum. And when my mother said or my father said, okay, I'm going to give you 10 rupee every month. So I am going to put that 5 rupee of my pocket money into my piggy bank. That's called SIP. Okay, I'll put 5 rupee every month from my pocket money. So that's a committed amount. And lump sum is whenever, whatever you want to invest, it's called lump sum. Now I've also give you two concepts called switch, and I also given a concept of STP.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. So I think we had a very good discussion. We decided to do it for about 45 minutes, but it's almost an hour. So thank you so much, Nidhi Madam, for sparing the time and joining us and teaching us about mutual funds, the basics and everything. So important message here for all our young ophthalmologists who are practicing wherever across India, and
Nikunj,
either they are.
I just want to conclude one summary here
Yes, yes,
on our
yes. Please, please,
discussion.
please, please, please,
That
please.
overall, whatever we have discussed, it's all about financial planning. Okay, it's all about financial planning. Whether you want to buy a house, whether you want to buy a car, whether you want to retire early, whether you are planning a child education, whether you want planning a marriage of your kids in future, everything is about financial planning. So, what I want to request everyone that this is a step should be taken in financial planning. Number one step: define your financial goals. Okay, define. It's very important. And every age, your financial goals will change. Okay, so
Absolutely.
that's first, define your financial goals. Second, assess your financial situation. So today I'm earning 25,000. What is my expenses? Tomorrow I'm going to earn 50,000. What is my expenses? Because expenses may increase, but income is also increasing, right? But what happened? It's a reverse era. When the income increases, we increase our expenses also, right? So that's very important to understand your financial situation. And whatever we are investing for what? We're investing to beat the inflation, right? And I will tell you, there is something called an RBI guideline inflation. Other than that, every household have an inflation, right? Because they say, okay, 4 plus 2 and 4 minus 2. But every house have, senior citizens, kids, maybe upcoming marriages, so every house have their own inflation going on. So you need to access your financial situation. It's very important. So first is define your goal. Second, access your current financial situation. Create an asset allocation. Evaluate your risk. Okay. Depending on your risk evaluation, create your asset allocation. Very important. Okay. Then invest accordingly. Okay. And the last thing is keep checking. Okay. Keep reviewing. Keep your information accordingly. Okay. There's nothing called right and wrong in the investment journey. It is all experiences what we get. Okay. So with your experiences, you will learn. It's okay to make mistakes. But have you learned from your mistakes? As Nikunj was sharing about his mistake that I invested late. Similar way, I invested late. So it's our experiences. And today, what we are doing is to make people understand, okay, fine, we have done this mistake. You don't do it, right? Start
Absolutely.
small, small steps, right? So the monitoring, the reviewing is very important into your financial plan. That's all a financial planning is.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So the message here is invest, don't just save. Start early. Whatever it is, even if you invest 500 rupees SIP a month when you are doing your post graduation, when you are in your early 20s or late 20s, 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, even I think now even 100 rupee SIP has also started. So whatever you can invest, just start investing, develop that habit and carry it forward according to as you grow, your income grows, you can just increase your SIP accordingly, and then it will help you achieve your financial goals in a long term. And mutual fund is a very good tool to utilize in the form of SIP or lump sum. It is up to you, but that is the way it is. So thank you so much. Thank you, Nidhi Madam. Thank you, Niranjan, for joining.
Yes, sir.
And uh, uh, this video will be uploading on YouTube, and it will be shared across our Young Ophthalmology Society groups. And we'll try to make it reach, make sure that it reaches the every possible member of our society and beyond that. So it should help all the young ophthalmologists of our country to, make their financial decisions and learn about mutual funds and learn about investing also. So we would also like to have suggestions from our all the listeners and viewers when they see this podcast. that if you have any suggestions, or if you have any specific topic which you want us to cover, or if you have any questions, you can just put it in the comments, or you can mail it to us. We'll be sharing an email address for the YOSI Financial Literacy Committee as well, along with the podcast. So if somebody has a personal finance question, you can share it with us. We will be sharing insights. We will be sharing it with our financial experts like Nidhi Madam. They will share their insights and we'll get back to you, something like that. That is also a way to help somebody one-on-one virtually, which is also possible, right? So with that, we'll be concluding. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone, and hope you love this podcast and share with your friends. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Niranjan.